Breaking right now on Denver 7 News at 5 o'clock, a deadly police shooting on an RTD bus. New details released overnight about how it all went down right in front of passengers.
Heartbreaking images coming out of the Hurricane Ian disaster zone. Take a look at this, what President Biden will promise victims this week.
And the Broncos got bucked by the Raiders, and now they have a short week to get ready for Thursday's challenge.
And what a gift. We got a lot of season left. We can respond the right way.
Always positive.
Always.
Yeah.
He always has that optimistic look on his face.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, a little
how it
bit.
is in the
Did we
locker room.
overpay?
No, come no.
Are we
just
panic,
wait.
It's not
pulling the
going to be
panic
an
button
overnight
yet?
success, okay? It's a process,
frustration.
Jason.
You
Yeah.
heard him.
Sets
It's
in.
a gift, this loss.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, it's not.
Yeah, it was a rough one. It was a tough one to watch. But
Raiders.
good to see all the orange
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
it was great.
stands.
That
Oh, my
was
gosh.
fantastic.
It almost looked like a home game for the Broncos. And hopefully we'll have some good weather this week for their actual home game.
It's going to be pretty. I mean, all week
Yeah.
long, pretty, typical fall for us here. Early October. Take a look. This morning as you're stepping out the door, we'll see a chance for showers today. So as the kids are getting ready for school, dry this morning, a little mix of sun and clouds. We'll see building cloud cover, scattered showers by the time they get home, and some wet roads for tonight's drive. And into overnight hours, we'll see some of that then clear out. But temperatures today are still going to be right around normal for this time of year. Early October, we're typically right around 70. So we'll see some low to mid 70s for northeastern Colorado, closer to 80 down near Pueblo and La Junta. More 50s and 60s for the mountains here this afternoon. Some of that rain already out west, some wet conditions, and in the mountains we could likely see again overnight tonight. A little snow dotting some of those peaks. Here in town, you'll see some of those showers by mid to late afternoon. So expect to see some wet conditions. We'll talk more about how much rain we may see with some of these showers coming up here in just a bit.
Yeah, so we'll have some slick spots here later on today. Right now, the drive looks okay. No weather-related issues down in Castle Rock as you're looking at the southbound side. Coming at us is the Castle Rock Parkway exit, looking pretty good for us here this morning, and no issues really to that south side. Take a look out to the west side. Had some overnight paving, and still some of that work is going on westbound I-70, heading around Pecos, Federal, over to Lakeside. From the camera over at 32nd Avenue, you can still see that we had some restrictions in here, but they're starting to lift all the cones. We had some lanes that were restricted out there, but I'm not seeing any travel time delays. You can see on the map a couple extra minutes on the westbound side because of the paving over by I-25 and Pecos, but that's about it. The rest of the drive on and off the highways looks pretty good. You might still find some lingering construction here and there. We'll talk about Santa Fe construction for you coming up in just a bit.
Well, we do have some breaking news this morning. A man shot aboard an RTD bus has died. Police confronted him after he robbed a convenience store with a knife and then ran onto the bus that was full of passengers. Overnight, police said the suspect lived at a nearby halfway house. Officers used their tasers, released a police dog, and ultimately fired their weapons. No police or other people on the bus were hurt.
And also this morning, we're learning more about a shooting on the hill just off CU Boulder's campus, and it was caught on camera. So take a look at this. You can see a man pull out a gun, firing at least 2 shots here in a moment. Police say that officers were nearby, and when they responded, people were still actively shooting. One officer fired his weapon, and one suspect, a man, was shot in the arm. He's expected to be okay. No officers or bystanders were injured, but at least 3 other suspects remain on the loose. We spoke with a sophomore at CU who says that he shot the video that has been shared all over social media.
It's scary, I'm fearing for my life almost, even though they weren't, trying to aim at us. I've never had an experience like that in my life where, someone's trying to kill somebody right in front of me. Not in Colorado, not ever, not anywhere else.
Terrifying. We did not know right now if the suspects knew each other or if this incident involves any students. The officer who fired his weapon is on paid administrative leave per Boulder police policy. The critical incident response team is investigating this case.
Well, new into our newsroom, a report is giving us insight into which crimes have increased in our state this year and how much it's costing all of us.
Denver 7's Veronica Acosta got a chance to look through that report. And Veronica, what did you learn from it?
So that report was actually done by this group that's called the Common Sense Institute, and it found that the number of crimes that have happened so far this year, right here in Colorado, they've increased in 7 different categories. So let's go ahead and run you through what those are. The first one being robbery. We know arson is another one. Car thefts. That's something that we've spoken so much about. That's a third category there. buying stolen property, vandalism, prostitution and pandering, drug possession and sales, and then finally homelessness. A couple of crimes really stick out in this report. Car thefts, which we hear so much about, again, that was one of them. The report found there was a more than 13% increase in these kind of crimes this year in Colorado already. It also found our state ranks second in crimes against property in the U.S. Fentanyl, also something that we talk about a lot and we have been talking about a lot in the past couple of months. The report found law enforcement officers seized more fentanyl in the first 5 months of this year than they did in all of last year put together. Listen to why one person who helped put this report together says the Common Sense Institute does this kind of work.
So the idea was initially to get some awareness out there, but also what we were trying to do is get the policy leaders to go back and look at the things they've done over the last 10 years to see if they could adjust those things.
And Morrissey, who you just heard from, said that back in 2020, when they did this report, they found that all of those crimes that happened in Colorado, it cost Coloradans about $30 billion. So just some context for you there this morning. We're live in Denver. I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
All right, crime can get expensive. Thank you, Veronica. New this morning, the death toll from Hurricane Ian just continues to rise. So far, at least 70 people in Florida and North Carolina were killed by that powerful storm. Almost all of the victims were in Florida, where rescue and recovery operations are still happening, and residents are already pledging to rebuild. ABC's Jay O'Brien has the latest.
This morning, as the death toll from Hurricane Ian rises, new images emerge showing the storm's destructive power. Helicopters from the Coast Guard and National Guard continue to conduct rescue missions. More than 2,300 people rescued from the air so far, with more saved by boat from barrier islands cut off from the mainland by the storm.
And the water just kept pounding the house, and we watched boats, houses, we watched everything just go flying by. We've lost so much at this point, so we appreciate you guys being here.
Residents already pledging to rebuild.
But it will need a complete rebuild. Electric grid, water systems, it's going to take a lot of work, but it will come back.
Further inland, the flood damage is vast. After more than 2 million people were left without power, state officials say this morning more than half have their lights back on. But along the state's southwestern coast, still reeling after a direct hit, Floridians are returning home to communities gone. And in Lee County, facing the highest death toll, new questions about why local leaders ordered an evacuation on Tuesday instead of Monday like neighboring areas. State officials, including Governor Ron DeSantis, saying the storm's track changed at the last minute.
We did what we had to do at the exact same time. I wouldn't have changed anything. And I know, being in those meetings from the very minute, this storm was very unpredictable.
President Biden is now planning to visit Florida on Wednesday to survey damage from Ian, exactly a week after the storm first made landfall. Jay O'Brien, ABC News, Washington.
Also a part of his trip to Puerto Rico, the president has expected to announce $60 million in infrastructure funding for the island and territory. Denver 7 has opened up a fund to help families who have been impacted by Hurricane Ian. Through the Scripps Howard Fund, we are accepting donations towards hurricane relief. You can text STORM to 50155 or just scan that QR code that you see right there on the screen. That'll take you directly to the webpage to donate on denver7.com.
Well, it was a rough go for the Broncos in Vegas. Coming off back-to-back wins, we had a lot of hope, but there were too many mistakes once again, offensively and defensively, plus a big injury. They fell to the Raiders and are now 2-2 on the season.
I still believe in our boys, though.
Sure.
So there's really no time to be sad about one loss because it's a busy week for Broncos country with the Colts on tap for Thursday night. Denver 7's Troy Rink has what needs to change before the team takes the field against Indianapolis.
This year was supposed to be different. The Broncos have a new coach, a new quarterback. They were going to have new luck against the Raiders here in Las Vegas. Instead, the Broncos dropped their 7th straight road game against the Raiders. It was the cliche. Too many penalties, too many drops, too many mistakes. The Broncos have to regroup with a Thursday night game waiting at home against the Colts.
You know, coming up Thursday night football, we get to play at home. It will be a great challenge. You know, a really good football team, a lot of talent, you know, on that team, and we got to be able to respond. And the good thing is you got to have amnesia. You know, you got to be able to forget what went really well. Got to be able to forget what didn't go so well, and just you know, be focused on the next moment.
It ain't hard to regroup. We got all the confidence in the world in each other, man. It ain't hard to regroup one bit. I'm glad we got a game in 3 days, 4 days. That's the best, right? You get to get this taste out of your mouth and go back and get another win and get back on the plus side of the win column this season.
While it's easy to blame the defense for their inability to stop Josh Jacobs, the Broncos punted 4 straight times to start the second half. They need more consistency across the board. Reporting from Allegiant Stadium, Troy Rink, Denver 7.
Well, they can get it right back on track Thursday in primetime football, and you can watch it right here on Denver 7. It's the Broncos and Colts from Empower Field. Denver 7's pregame coverage starts at 5 p.m. We are the only broadcast station carrying the game, and then stick around afterwards for our postgame coverage. Lisa.
And weather-wise, we'll talk more about game forecast coming up. Getting out the door here early this morning on your dog walking forecast. Early on, upper 40s, a little bit of cloud cover. We'll see scattered showers develop this afternoon, hitting highs right around 70 and then dropping down into the 60s by about 5 o'clock. So some wet roads today. A little more rain tomorrow, but then plenty of sunshine for the rest of the week, and details coming up.
And now we'll be here Thursday afternoon to help you with some of the travel around to get to the stadium. Right now, you can see that we have some lingering construction. You can see some of the flashing lights back in here. That's the westbound side of I-70 from I-25 over to Pecos. The headlights are the eastbounders. We still have some of that lingering road work happening out there and a slight delay. We'll take a look at the travel times, not only there, but around the city, coming up in just a bit.
And up next, the changes to the A-Line schedule that could impact your ride to work or even your next flight. And just how much Colorado is bucking national trends when it comes to the price you pay at the pump.